All right, good evening, everybody. This is the crew from Rett U. Oh, that even rhymes. How nice is that? Talking about feelings take us. And I think that none of us here would deny the fact that feelings haven't taken us at one point or another in our lives. I am Susan Norwell, co founder of Rett University. Happy to be here tonight. And with me are.
I'm Courtney Barnum, educational specialist for Rett University.
Ann Miller. I'm a speech language pathologist and the training coordinator for Rett University.
I am Olivia Samrin. I am an educational specialist with Rett University.
All right.
We're all here.
Yeah, we're all here. Here we go. So,
Okay, I love this quote. I found this and I was like, we're going to put this up there for our feelings talk.
then you get
Because
to
what
talk
it
about
says
it.
is our emotions need to be as educated as our intellect. It is important to know how to feel, how to respond, and how to let life in so that it can touch you, anonymous. And I think coming from somebody who's, Gen X, and we didn't talk about feelings or anything like that, and learning how to talk about feelings now, but then seeing it in our girls and teaching them our girls and boys and teaching them how to talk about their feelings and teaching them that it's okay to have feelings has been a really eye-opening experience for myself, working with our kiddos. So I love this quote.
And the other thing is that how do we really educate someone if they cannot manage their feelings? So if you live by your feelings, you're on a bit of a roller coaster. If you ignore them long enough and tamp them down into a jar like that, eventually the cork's going to pop, right? And so either one of those are not helpful if we're trying to get kids to relate, integrate information, learn new things, have the confidence to move forward, so that it's not an add-on. It's definitely a part of learning that we have to do this.
So, why don't you guys all take a minute and think about an emotion we all felt this week? And especially, I think, Thanksgiving, it's Thanksgiving week. I'm sure we're all stressed, everything else like that. Are you happy, sad, angry, frustrated? Now, think about how did you express it? What did you do? Did you express yourself vocally? What did you say? More importantly, how did you say it? Okay, take a second and think about that. But then think about your client or your loved one with Rett syndrome. How do they do that? Have we been teaching them how to do that? I had a very interesting, one of my kids I've had a couple kids this year, a couple clients the past 6 months have gone through some major life changes. Major, big, huge life changes. And my one today, the past couple weeks, she's been so upset. And I said, okay, what's going on? Went to her feelings, frustrated, disappointed, angry, mad. I mean, she went through every possible red feeling that she could have. And I texted mom and I was like, listen, we need to talk about this because she's saying this. And I said, are you guys giving her an opportunity to talk about it? Because she doesn't have those opportunities and she's bottling it up and it's starting to come through. She was all sniffly and snuffy today and you could tell she wasn't feeling great. And I'm like, okay, we're getting emotional constipation. We got to talk about this. So, making sure that we're showing the kids how to do so themselves or how to have the feelings. Susan, you want to take this one?
Yeah, so some of this info came from a webinar that I saw through Smartbox, and they were talking about mental health at an AAC user. And one of the women was a social worker and also an AAC user. So it was really interesting. And we have to kind of think of it from an AAC perspective as being different in many ways than easily being able to say, oh, or I can't stand this, or this is so hard. I mean, it's so easy for us to express ourselves, but an AAC user has to recognize the emotion, think about where it is on their device, find it on their device, be able to, the steps they have to go through to just express that they're, fed up. So we know AAC users have a higher risk of abuse or trauma, right? The things that some of our girls have gone through in terms of their health, like near-death experiences in terms of being hospitalized for pneumonia. And it isn't just pneumonia for somebody with Rett. It can be really horrible, worse than for other people. They have less access to mental health services because it's a very rare school. I have a couple of schools where I really like the social workers, and they're working with my girls, and they're getting their communication, their device, and they're getting into those kinds of things. But in a lot of schools, social workers aren't going to touch our kids because they're AAC users. It's just not going to happen. So they have less opportunity and practice talking about their own mental health. And we know that this is a part of them developing a really healthy self-concept and a really healthy knowledge that they can tell when something's wrong, that they can advocate for themselves, and they have to be taught how to do this. It's not just natural because of the whole AAC piece. They certainly have more exposure to factors that can contribute to mental health challenges because people can say things to them or about them in ear range when people don't think they understand, but they do understand. And so if we don't teach them directly how to advocate for themselves, how to use language to advocate for themselves, and we don't make sure that on their devices they have easy access to that communication, then we're really not doing our job to help them be more capable and more self-sustaining in any environment.
All right, so how do we help them work through the feelings without behavior? And I think the biggest behavior I see for a lot of our kiddos that is affecting them is like screaming or vocalizing very loudly, or and then the other one that I see a lot is shutting down, just shutting their eyes and shutting down completely. And Susan has taught me this phrase of emotional constipation. We talk about it all the time, but talking about emotional constipation, meaning that when you are unable to communicate your emotions or needs, you simply have a buildup of emotions or feelings. And what I think about with a lot of our kids when I hear about behaviors, and over all of the years that I've worked in special education and with my sister, watching them not have an avenue to talk and having those feelings just come out, but it comes out in behavior, and then people think they have a behavior plan, and I'm like, okay, but let's talk about the emotions first, because if we don't have a way to communicate about what's going on and we haven't been taught, what do I feel about it, what can I think about it, how do I work through this, we're going to end up with emotional constipation,
which isn't very comfortable. So
it's
like
not.
You feel, and we've all felt that. I mean, we've been in situations where we felt a certain way, but we couldn't really express it. You know, like you're at the in-laws for dinner, and you really want to say something, but you gotta like front your hand over your mouth, and by the time you get home, you're like ready to about spill everything, right? So this feeling cycle is they're going to feel the feeling. There's no stopping feeling the feeling. It's going to come there. They don't have a way to express it, so they're verbally, right? So now they're going to express it in any way they possibly can, because our girls are really smart and they're really creative. They're not just going to sit there and do nothing, unless going to sleep is their go-to for when they're feeling stressed. Then you're not going to hear anything, but or else you're going to get behavior. And personally, I'd rather have a kid acting out than a kid going to sleep. I think the shutdown is much harder to deal with than behavior. Then they're going to get a response to their behavior that is usually not the most constructive. It may be a behavioral focus, like a timeout or something. It's like, okay, you just timed me out, but I still have the feeling. It's still there, right? So then what we need to do is really think about how they can learn to express their emotion in a different way instead of using their behavior. Because it's exhausting for them to use behavior, and it keeps them separate from the world. Because once they're falling apart, it's really hard to keep them with other kids or in a classroom or, countless other things, or in a restaurant. All of a sudden now you're having to deal with something that if you just got to the feeling level, it would be much better. And it's funny, I spoke at my friend teaches a parent-infant class at the university level, and every year I come and I give a lecture to her class, and usually I spend a lot of my time talking about how we get little ones to express and build language and build competence around emotional regulation. And that, if we don't do this kind of co-regulation with them, we co-regulate, we help them by our attitude, showing and modeling how we manage behavior or how we manage our feelings. but also that we do this kind of affective response. You know, like I have this video of this kid with autism where I accidentally just paused a moment in what I was doing. He thought I didn't know what to do and just started screaming. And I just went, whoa, I did it wrong. And I said I did it wrong as loud as he screamed, and then slowly backed my voice down, and then he backed his voice down, and then he could communicate what I had done wrong. But if I had said quiet hands, quiet mouth, which in that classroom I think I heard about 50 times a day, the kid is saying, that's not what I want to say. I don't want to say quiet hands. I don't want to say quiet mouth. What I want to say is you did it wrong, but I couldn't get the words out. And when you said them, I went, yeah, that's it. And then I could stop screaming. So this cycle can be stopped.
Well, and one of the things I want to mention is, as you know, thinking about adulthood, my sister, as we know, was in a group home. And when they had behavior, it's automatic medication. They're putting them on medication because they don't want to deal with the behaviors. And funniest story, we had one of the young women that lived in the home with my sister had a motorized wheelchair. She could move around. She had CP, and she was brought up for medication. And my mom's telling me this, and I'm like, wait, why? What is her? And I said, wait, I know what her behavior is. She's running over the one nurse. And they're like, my mom's like, how did you know? And I said, because I watched her. And I'm like, and I know exactly why she's running her over. She talks down to her, so she's running her over because she doesn't like her. I'm like, she doesn't need medication. She needs a way to say, I don't like you. You're rude to me. Stop it. But that was their go-to of going
right.
to medication. So not saying that, you know, our kids are in group homes now as much, but that is a very real possibility of.
Well, the same thing happens in schools, though. They want to go that route too.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll recommend it. You don't have to do it, but they would recommend it. So how do we change that feeling cycle and prevent emotional constipation? So I think it's important we model feelings. We model getting a little upset and bringing ourselves down. We model the language. We let them know it's okay to have the feelings, but we need to express it in a different way. We help them identify it. We validate it. But we give them language. I love this quote from Anne Frank, but feelings can't be ignored no matter how unjust or ungrateful they seem. Right? And so you'll see in the video with me and Ashley is, I say, this is maybe how we could reframe it, but your feelings are your feelings. I'm not going to change your feelings, but maybe we can reframe the way we think about them. You know, that's the place of maturity, right? We can all be angry. Angry's okay. But we can't hit people, you know. We can't, run our cars into people when they're, being stupid on the road. We have to manage and reframe those feelings into something a little more productive. So,
in this next video, you're going to see me working with one of my kiddos. Like I said, I've had a couple kiddos who had some really big life changes the past few months.
Tragedy.
And we've been dealing with this for a little while. This is quite a few sessions in where she's been using her vocalizations to let me know that she's not okay. And we are now working on using books and things like that to help her. And I just want you guys to see, it was kind of that validation feeling for her that we're taught, that you'll see in this video. Tilda's world was just as she liked it. Tilda's world was just as she liked it. Oh, look, she's playing hula hoop. She had her friends, her books, and her toys. Everything was just right. I like how you're looking. She had her friends, her books. Kind of like you. You have everything, right? You have your friends, your sister, your family. And then until one day, Tilda's world turned upside down. I'm looking at Tilda on this page, and she looks like she's feeling very sad. I wonder what happened. I'm going to go here and say, I wonder what happened. Something must have happened. Something happens. Looks like she's really sad. Let's find out. I think we should turn the page and find out.
Turn page.
Look at how quiet she got when you introduced the idea of something happened and she was sad. She immediately got quiet. When we hit the nail on the head, they just...
Yeah, it definitely, it's been really, like that, when I changed that, when I said that to her, like, that, she was like, okay, you get it. Like, oh, okay, my world has been turned upside down. And it had been. And so it was really cool to have that reaction. Like, never want my kids to have their worlds turned upside down, but it was so interesting to see her reaction once she was validated.
And once you hit it on the head, they get quiet. They get calm. It never ceases to amaze me. It's just like magic. You know, Stan Greenspan talks about emotional regulation, how we have to do this affect cueing piece, that once we join them in it and then we help bring them down, that if we hit the nail on the head in terms of what they're trying to say, they just peace out. They're just
and if you guys want a really good book, Tilda Tries Again.
There we go.
Because it has become one of my new favorite books because it is absolutely perfection. It talks about a big life change. It doesn't say what it is. So it could be, mom, dad getting a divorce. It could be, a new teacher, whatever. But it
could
talks
be that
about
they lost their favorite toy because to them it could seem like horrible. Because kids, what they might think is horrible, we might go, "What's that?" Right?
It was like this. Her and I. This was the very first book we started. We bought. Her mom actually was wonderful and bought me some really great books. And this was one of them. And this was the first one we read. And when I said topsy turvy and showed her the picture, she was like, "That's it, right there." Like her and I were both like, "Yeah, we get that." We talked about when things just turn topsy turvy. It was really, really powerful. Okay. So from the Institute of Child Psychology, I took some of the stuff from their website, but then I also kind of pulled in some of our own little things that we talk about at Rett U. So ways to help kids to understand and express their feelings. Share your feelings with your kids. Teach them. One of the big things we've been talking about with my kiddos is that you can be two things at once. You can be happy and tired. You can be grateful and a little sad, when things happen. So talking to them about that, teaching them that feelings are natural and that it is okay to feel them. One of the very first things I do with my kiddos is teach them how to say, I don't want to, I don't like this makes me angry, things like that, because there are days where their body and Rett syndrome is just being really difficult, and being able to be able to express that is a really powerful thing for them. Telling stories with emotional layers, bringing out photos or memories to help intertwine their feelings into their lived experiences. I love that. And again, with one of my kiddos, we're putting pictures to help her talk about the feelings and remembering that there's happiness and sadness together in some of these pictures and things like that. And it's been really, really powerful. Use everyday moments for gentle lessons, books, movies, everyday life. Inside Out 2 is is a great movie right now to talk about that. I know a lot of our families are watching Out of My Mind, and talking with their girls about the feelings that it talks about. I don't know about, Lizzie and I were texting when we were watching it on Friday night. I made it 8 minutes and started bawling, so I'm sure the kids had some big feelings as well. Find ways to notice the feelings being demonstrated. Help them tune into their own emotions and those of others. Help them connect their feelings within their bodies. And I think this one is so huge because I'm just learning how to do that myself, to be very honest with you, at the ripe old age of 49. But I don't know if our girls and boys always know where those feelings are coming from in their body. And so helping them kind of, how does their body feel when they're having those emotions? My girls will give my girls and boys will give me side eye. I'll be like, ooh, I notice you're frowning at me. You're giving me side eye. I think we're feeling a little angry. Where's that body feeling angry? And helping them connect to their body, and then modeling how to support and bring those feelings back to regulation. And these were just I thought these were some really powerful ways to help our kids with their emotions.
Okay, so this is Lena, and the title of this underneath it, big movie, is it says preview emotions. I think that sometimes we get right to work and we don't kind of preview what their options are for sharing their emotions, and especially she's young and she tends to be kind of volatile. And just a little reminder at the beginning of where she's got things that she can say. So you just play the video. Say, I am feeling, you are feeling good or not so good. You could decide. You asked me how I was feeling, and I said I was feeling very good. And then I said, how are you feeling? And we got to your feeling page. You got to your feeling page. So clever. Yeah, how are you feeling? Oh no. Oh no, not good? I'm sorry. What's wrong? Not so good, Susan, huh? What do you think? Are you feeling kind of crabby?
Heavy.
Or tired?
Tired.
Maybe frustrated?
Frustrated.
I don't know. I don't know. You chose bad. Is that what you wanted to tell me? That something bad was going on? What do you think? Yes or no? Yes. You wanted to tell me something bad was going on? Huh. So what's so bad?
Look, hold on, I got it.
You decided something bad's going on, Susan. I just gotta tell you. I don't know. I can't read your mind. You're gonna have to tell me. You might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed.
Or a little bit shy.
Shy.
Or maybe kind of
Exhausted.
exhausted. Oh,
Wild.
well, that's kind of exhausting.
Exhausted.
And the opposite. You're either exhausted or feeling wild.
No,
I don't think you can be
selfish.
both. You're feeling a little selfish.
Selfish.
Oh, you want something and you want it now. Yeah, that's what selfish is about. I got lots of things I want, Susan. But I am feeling kind of exhausted.
Exhausted.
Yeah. How about since you're so exhausted, if we did something that was kind of easy?
That is easy.
Something easy. Would that be good?
Wonderful.
That'd be wonderful. All right. You like that. You would like that. All right. I would. So I think like an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. You know, if we can stay ahead of the behavior and have conversations. Like, I don't like that check-in thing sometimes they do at school. Okay, everybody, tell me how you're feeling. And they all get in a little line and they got to point to a picture or something. I don't really like that because I don't think pictures really do it because it doesn't feel like communication. But what I do think is this is a conversation. We're just having a conversation, talking about feelings. She says she's tired. I'm going to react to it and say, hey, then let's do something easy since you're tired. You know, and I think that we then go into the work, not like I say, you're tired, we're not going to do anything. That would be really uncommon for me to say. But for her to know that I'm going to go easy on her, she's probably going, oh, thank the Lord, because I know how hard this lady can be. So, anyways, and she stayed regulated throughout the whole thing. And this is not a regulated child, typically. Not at all. So.
You and I both use that phrase, I can't read your mind. You said it, and I'm like, oh, I say, and I tell them, but then give them space to really show that you're not going to try to. I think that's something that we all have to learn, because people, I think, sometimes go, I can't read your mind, but then start putting words into their kid's mouth
right.
of what they think they want to say. And I'm like, nope, I really can't read your mind. So I'm going to just shut my mouth for a second and let you talk.
Right.
And truly wait for them to say what they need to say. And I think that's such a huge
wait time is so important.
It's so important, and I think the kids really feel heard when
right.
we truly wait for them.
Yeah. And if you don't, they just figure, well, oh, here's another. Go ahead. You can go ahead. Play this.
This is your
Oh,
in the moment.
okay, so this
I'm
is-
gonna let you explain
Okay.
it.
Okay, so I'm gonna just give you I'll give you like the little before this. I had at one point said that it was so cool that we could rig a way for you to do reading and you can do writing and you can do all these things because you can't use your hands and you can't talk. So we've rigged things to make it work for you. And after I said that, I noticed a little bit of a mood change, but it wasn't horrible, it wasn't really significant, but a little bit, and then this happened. So she goes to personal. Smear my camera. There you go. All right. I think that's.
Me.
Oops, hold
My
on.
feelings are hurt.
Hold on. Were your feelings hurt? Did I hurt your feelings? Oh, yeah, I did. Did I hurt your feelings when I was talking about rigging things so that people who couldn't use their hands could do making words? And people that couldn't hold a pencil can do writing? Was that the thing that hurt your feelings? So can you pause it right there? Can you just pause it? Okay. So I don't know if you I don't know if you caught that, but I didn't because I'm so busy looking at her face. I only caught it when I was watching the video. You see her hit I miss doing and hurt feelings. So in other words, if in the moment I had seen that, but I was being face to face with her, so what do you trade? You know, it's a hard decision to make. But going back and looking, she was saying, I miss doing those things. You know, some of our girls get their regression late enough that they remember things that they've done, right? I have a girl who cries every time she watches Little Mermaid, and her voice gets taken from her because she remembers speaking and then not being able to speak, right? But the I miss doing and hurt feelings would have guided me much better than what I did here, I think. But I keep playing it, and then I'll pop in and tell you where I think I did a good job.
Sorry, I did not mean to hurt your feelings.
And where I did a horrible job.
But it is true that you cannot use your hands to move things, right? Right. And you cannot hold a pencil, right? Right. So I spoke the truth, and I'm sorry the truth hurt your feelings, but the good side was we have figured out a way to get past all that. I didn't just say, oh, she can't use her hands, we can't do making words. Oh, she can't hold a pencil, we can't write. I see right through all that stuff, and I see your smart brain. So let's try to reframe that. Say, you know, Susan didn't hurt my feelings. Maybe she just told me the truth, and I don't really like that truth. I don't really like hearing that truth. It's kind of hurtful because I don't like to hear it. But maybe instead of concentrating on that part, I could concentrate on what we did to help. But it's up to you, because I can't tell you how to feel. I can tell you how your smart brain could maybe reframe that. And you'd rather I not mention when you have something about your Rett syndrome. Yes, okay. So you'll have to bring it up then, right? It's not up to me to bring up, is that what you're saying? Which is fine. It's fine, I get it. But sometimes we have really good talks, and I do mention it, and I don't know if that hurts you or not, or just did at that moment. So, should I not bring it up? Is that what you want me to do, is just never talk about it? No. But just at that moment, it hurt you. Yes. It hurt you to hear about it. Was I saying it in a yucky way? It felt yucky to you. Okay. All right. And I'm sorry. What I meant to say is, well, what I was meaning was that we didn't just give up. And that's what rigging is rigging something so it will work. And I will always try to rig things so that you can do what everybody else does. I don't want you to miss doing something. I don't want you to miss out on doing something. I don't want you saying to me, how come I can't write? How come I can't read? How come I can't blah, 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 blah? I don't want that to happen for any of my girls, so I'm going to always rig things up. But I'm sorry that the way I said it hurt your feelings. Will you forgive me? Yes. But thank you for telling me all on your own. All on your own. You went to boom, 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 and that was what was going on. So, that's so helpful. So, this is a kiddo, just to give you a little history, who likes to grow her bad feelings. She plants them, she waters them, she takes very good care of them, right? And so when I talk about reframing, it may have sounded like I was negating her feelings, but I'm really trying to help her reframe, because she will let that just sink her down to doing nothing. And that's how she is. And she's just amazingly bright and very clever and very emotional. I mean, things hit her like, if I had went back and found that snippet and you heard what I said, you would go, gosh, it didn't sound very hurtful. But what it did is, once I saw that I miss doing it with the feeling, where I should have gone with this discussion was a little more, it must be hard when you have to miss doing something that you want to do. That's where I should have gone. And still reframed it for her, because she would stay there for the entire session and do nothing, right? She would do that for days. She could do that for days. And so she is the kind of kid who really needs to have this kind of balanced approach, where some other kids just need, like your little girl that you just saw, Courtney, in that video, because of the rawness of her experience, really needs to just stay at the feeling level. She's not ready for reframing. She won't be ready for reframing for a while. This kid, yes. So again, that's another just, gut reaction, not gut reaction, but it's experience with kids like this that makes me kind of go one way or the other. But
Teach us every day.
Pardon?
They teach us every day.
Every day. I said to Courtney before this that watching these videos really helped me remember I need to preview more, and I need to get this in more, a lot of this reviewing of what you can say, before it really gets to be difficult. I know this was effective because she went on to then just have a great day after this, which is what she's typically not able to do when a feeling like that comes up. So
I also, Susan, want to add that, maybe she wasn't aware that she could reframe her thinking.
Right.
And so she probably just had this feeling and thought she was stuck with it.
Right.
And without giving any additional guidance or support, she would have just continued to be stuck.
Yeah, and that's why I think that the way these boards are set up that Courtney's showing you now, they start with the feeling, then flip the page, then they go why the feeling, and then they go to what can I think about it. And that's the reason, is because I think you're right, Olivia. I think that sometimes feelings overtake people and they just hang there with the feeling. And it's good to recognize it, but you don't, like I said, you don't have to plant it in a jar, fertilize it, and water it every day, right? And keep it. There's ways to reframe, and not to sound cold about the feeling, but to understand there's a feeling and you can move on. Because if we're ruled by our feelings only, that's not a good place to be. For any child, any adult, anybody, you're ruled by your feelings and you don't move forward.
You need to be ruled by your feelings and have them completely overtake you, which is going to cause huge issues in your life. Or you can not say anything whatsoever and have a much sort of constipation, which is then going to affect your physical and mental health and everything else. So it's trying to find that way. And I think one of the things I noticed as a teacher for many years is we always taught about what an emotion was. Well, this is happy, this is sad, showing
That's
pictures.
It, right.
But not really
in the moment, so you can feel it.
Right. I'm angry because somebody hurt my feelings. Somebody said something that hurt my feelings. Or, okay, but what can I do about it? And, these pages
were specially designed for that. For this child, actually. I wrote these pages for that child. Right. And then we realized they were actually good for everybody. But that's the kid that was the impetus for writing these.
Right. But it's interesting.
I always like to tell my kiddos, we can change the channel.
Yep.
We don't really like this one. This one isn't fun. So let's just change the channel. And it takes practice.
Right.
Sometimes we want to stay stuck, in those bad feelings. And let's have those feelings and then change the channel because it's not entertaining to be here in this space.
That's
But-
a good way of putting it, especially for all our TV lovers. But if anybody's out there wants these pages, let us know because we've got them in Snap, and I have them also in Grid. Though I don't think I have the last part in Grid, but I have the first part in Grid.
Well, and it's interesting because I think I was just in a situation with one of my kiddos who we had some issues going on, and she was, we could see it in her body. Her praxia was getting worse. Her breathing was like all the symptoms were coming up. And I'm like, I can tell you're really feeling some sort of way. And I'm like, let's go into feelings. And she was like, angry, mad, frustrated, angry, nervous. And I was like, you know what? Thank you for expressing that. And you know what? You have every right to feel that way. And it was, you could just see her go, okay, you're hearing me. Maybe other people aren't hearing me, but you're hearing me, and I appreciate being heard. And so I was like, but we're not going to let that affect what we need to do because I know you're awesome.
Right.
And we'll show everybody that you're awesome. And that really makes a big difference because I think sometimes our kids, people are like, oh, okay, well, you're mad. Okay, well, you're shutting down, so we're just not going to do anything. And I'm like, no, let's move through it and work through it.
Change the channel.
Change the channel.
Yeah. So now this is me reviewing. So at the end of every session, I have like a news page. And so I put in her news what she had done because it was a big moment for her to express all of that. And that's a great piece of news to share at home. So just a little video of that.
I saw that I am capable of telling people
I'm a horrible typist.
how I feel and why. How I feel and why.
Or shy.
Susan
That one's shy.
thinks that is really mature.
And that's Carrie's job.
So now what we have to work on is telling people, but not letting it affect your work. It affected it just a little bit, but not like it used to. Remember how if I said something you didn't like, you'd be like mad at me the whole time? Not today. Not today. You kept working. It was a little slowed down, but you kept working. And then you told me exactly what was going on. Whew.
Yeah, Carrie is in charge of all my typos. She'll go, I think that's supposed to be why, Miss Susan. Thank you. I need an editor constantly with me. I think it's really important. It's kind of like a feeling sandwich. If you review it beforehand, you do it in the moment, and then you review it. After preview, do it in the moment, and then review it. Because I don't think this is something that is natural for most people. I'm not talking about our kids. I'm just saying most people are not very good at managing their emotions. We can just look out in our world and see that all the time, right? But I think that particularly for an AAC user, it has got to be front and center, easy for them to get to. I make sure that this stuff is in a position where, like, her right side of her device is her easiest place. So that's where the problem is, the word problem, and then it links to everything. So it's easy for her to get to.
Well, and I think something that I've really noticed with especially these, like I said, with my kiddos who've had big changes in the past, is allowing them to have their anger and being okay with their anger. And whether it's anger at me because I'm the person who's making them work that day, or it's anger at everything, letting them know it's okay to be angry. Because if not, then I notice the behavior is 10 times more. And I will be very honest. I think, again, working, in disability for as long as I have and being a part of it, I don't think a lot of times our kids are allowed to be angry. And nobody lets them have those feelings. We're not allowed to have feelings of being angry. And so it's something to really let them know. I'm like, it's okay to be angry with me. It's not okay to shut yourself down and not do anything. It's not okay to, hit mom or hit dad or whatever. So how can we work through it and talk about the anger in a different way, or the those overwhelming frustration feelings? So
Makes sense to
And
me.
the older kids get, I think, it's important to also help teach the idea that we have our feelings, but our actions based on those feelings need to be intentional. So just because you're angry at me does not mean that you get to hit me.
Right.
You can be angry and then tell me that you're angry and that you want to take a break with one of your favorite toys because you're angry and that will make you feel happy. Because I think a lot of times kids don't know or understand that I'm angry, so I want to do angry things.
Right.
And that means treating you badly. And there is a way to make it very clear that I am angry without hitting me. Even if you say, hey, I'm angry, and then you hit me. But you can't hit me.
Right.
Right.
Don't squeeze me. I have a kiddo that'll, she'll just squeeze my hand. And
That'll
When
work.
I taught autism, I had a calm down room. Like it was not, it was an open room, windows and everything else, but we turned it into the anger room, and it had like a trampoline and bang it dolls and punching bags and everything else. And I would go in, like I literally would go in there and be like, Miss Barnum is so angry, and I'd go in and but I taught my kids how to use that room because I'm like, you're gonna hit me, you're angry, go in there and do it in there, because I would much rather they figure out a way to do it, someplace else where they're not getting hurt themselves or hurting somebody else. Because especially when I was teaching middle school, you have middle schoolers
They're
that are as
big.
big as you, and we had teachers get hurt because the kids didn't have a correct way to express their emotions. And so
I
And
don't
that's
think
sad
we
because
ever
we
want
get
to make their
feelings.
world. Yeah, I don't think we ever want their world to get smaller, right?
no.
If they can't work through emotions, their world gets smaller. I don't care how old they are. Either parents are afraid to take them places, or an adult living arrangement isn't going to take them because of their behavior. I mean, it's so important. And also, it's just important for their just state of mind. I think this is a great thing. Emotions are just temporary. It's when you dig in with them, like I say, and plant them and water them, because you can't reframe them, that they end up being carried around for a long length of time. You can see kids that are just like so upset, and the next minute they're giggling over something, right? That's how emotions are. But if we don't learn to manage them or to reflect on them, they can take you down some pretty bad roads. And so that's why I think it's really important for our kids. And the other part is, I think it's really important, if we make somebody mad or if we hurt them, we find out why. Because it could be that we said something off the cuff that, like I said this very off the cuff, not even thinking that it would be taken that way. So now I know with her, if I want to talk about how we're doing something and why, I need to say, I might have to talk a little bit about your Rett syndrome when I'm talking about that. Are you ready to hear it? So for me, that was a useful piece of news versus just the angry, but why? I think getting to the why is important. But those are final thoughts. And if you have questions, here's all the emails of where you can email us, or anybody have questions that's in the Joanna or Sandy, or Joanne, not Joanna, Joanne or Sandy, if you have any questions, we'll be happy to.
Anybody else, because I know there's a few other people in here that don't have their cameras on. If you guys want to jump in or anything like that and have questions for us, please let us know.
And then this will also go up on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
And it's also, that'll be up on our RettU website also. We put our web chats up there.
Yes, and if there are any subjects or ideas that we have not covered, or you'd like us to kind of revisit or anything else like that, please email myself and let us know, because that's what that's why we do them. We will not be having a December web chat because the holidays are
fast approaching.
Everybody, so we will not be having, so we will see everybody in, oh my God, January 2025.
Right around the corner. All right, so thank you everybody for coming. All right, bye guys.
Guys, have a good night.
Bye-bye.